What's up, gang? Case here with our at-home Metcon for Saturday, October 24th. We've got a partner workout for you today, 1 mile run followed by 90 thrusters, then 80 V-ups, 70 box jumps, 60 push-ups. If you've got a pull-up bar at home, you can actually do pull-ups today, and then finishing up with another 1 mile run. One partner working at a time. Split the work however you would like, but you have to stay in order. If you don't have a partner and you need an individual option, we'll talk about that at the end of this video. On that 1 mile run, I'd recommend splitting those into 200s or 400s. 400 is going to give you a little more time to recover, but your run rate is probably going to be a bit slower. However, you might want that extra recovery for later in the workout. On the 90 thrusters, stay light on these thrusters today. This is a high rep movement, ideally going double arm on these thrusters. So if you have two lighter dumbbells or kettlebells, you can use those. Let's focus on keeping our chest up. I always teach slowing the descent down just a bit. That gives me the opportunity to breathe and help keep my posture, which pays off over the course of a ton of reps. If I'm falling to the bottom, losing positions, trying to bounce out of the bottom, it's going to restrict my breathing. Plus, I'm going to be wasting effort on some of that movement. If you only have one dumbbell to work with, you're welcome to hold that dumbbell one head in each hand and execute that thruster same way. If you feel like that gets you a little too tight overhead with that narrow grip, you are welcome to go single arm thruster today. I would just recommend breaking or switching sides every 5 reps. As far as how to break those when you're working with that partner, I'd recommend roughly 10 reps and then switching out. So pick a weight that's going to be easily manageable for you for that amount of reps. Moving on to our 70 V-ups. Looking to get a similar stimulus to a toe to bar today. So if you have a pull-up bar at home, you can go toe to bar if you would like. But looking to split these into smaller sets as well. V-up, we need to be able to hold that hollow position in the bottom, and then in the middle, we're still pointing toes and keeping legs and arms completely long. Also trying to meet in the middle versus swinging the legs back farther than bringing the hands up, which is something that we see pretty common with those. If you're running into that, if you're running into having to bend your knees to touch your toes, then I would go to that tuck up instead. That's probably going to be the movement that's better suited for your skill level for that pattern. Once again, I'd recommend breaking those into 5s. Don't go too big on those. That's going to help you keep technique and keep that hollow position and get that good full range of motion. From there, we've got 70 box jumps. If you don't have a box at home, you can do an object jump over, or you could do a broad jump. 2420 is the prescribed height that I'll recommend for those today. Big things on box jumps. When we land, let's make sure that we're landing with our hips above our knees. When people get tired on these, they tend to bottom out, or a lot of times people jump to a height that's really just a bit too high for a lot of reps. So make sure it's a height that when you land, hips can land above the knees. Be sure to stand up all the way at the top before you come down. That's a movement I'd recommend cutting into 10s. That's going to give you or your partner a little bit of time to rest. Plus, the work rate between 5 reps and 10 reps doesn't tend to be that much different. And then lastly, we've got 60 pull-ups if you have a pull-up bar, or 60 push-ups if not. So actually opposing patterns there, but I didn't want to throw in just something like a bent over row today. I wanted to mimic the same effort and intensity of that pull-up. So pull-up or push-ups are your option today. With either of those movements, break it into smaller sets. I'd recommend 5s for most people. If you're really proficient on those, maybe 10, because those are 2 movements that burn out really quickly. Plus, we do want to save our shoulders and save our hands for this upcoming week. This is meant to be a deload week. Next week, we want to be fresh, and we're going to start building in intensity a bit more next week. You'll finish up with that 1 mile run. might want to split that run down into smaller chunks at the end. You're going to be more fatigued, so you'll be more likely to keep your pace higher if you go for some shorter work bouts. So if you started with 400s, maybe finish splitting with 200s to accumulate to that mile for you and your partner. Good luck on this workout today. You'll get plenty of intensity, but break things into smaller, reasonable sets that'll also keep you from being as sore. Individual option, you'll take that work and you'll just cut it in half. So that option's actually in Wodify and in the health bulletin as well. And then what you'll do is, if you want to get technical and more specific, spot the clock every time you finish a bout of work and then rest for an equal period of time. So if you go out for a 400-meter run, it takes you 2 minutes. When you get back, rest for 2 minutes, go out for another 400-meter run, and that'll make your 800. That's your work effort for that individual option. And then when it gets into some of those reps, that's when it's going to be harder to spot the clock. So maybe if you lose interest in keeping clock, just give yourself a specific amount of breaths that you feel like is roughly equal to the amount of time that you worked. Cut those bigger chunks of reps into those smaller, reasonable sets, similar to what we talked about, and work through that way. So working, resting for roughly equal amount of times throughout all of the movements. Good luck on today's workout. Once again, let's come into next week feeling fresh. So focus on technique and don't overdo it today. We'll see you guys on Monday for the start of our base week.